everyone, and welcome back to another video of me trying out a new media of art. I will be using Arteza's chalk markers in this video, and as you can see, I did have a sketch prepared on my chalkboard marker. On my chalkboard, just my chalkboard. I don't use my chalkboard too often, but I really wanted chalkboard markers just because, or just chalk markers, I guess. Just something about chalk. It's just so, I don't know, like just how easy it is to wipe away, I think is something that I was interested in. Chalk markers are different though, they don't wipe away as easily, but I don't know, I just really wanted to try chalk markers. They are especially helpful in my job that is outside of YouTube, but I will not get to use them yet. I did actually try these out before I drew this picture, so I do know how they work most of the time, but I still have to remember certain things. So before I get into it, just did want to thank Arteza for sending me their chalk marker to test out. I did enjoy them overall, and I will be talking about like the pros and cons of these chalk markers. As you can see, I'm actually drawing like an illustration. I looked up chalk marker reviews because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I wanted to do an illustration, but I just didn't know how common it was. And it seems like a lot of the chalk marker reviews are people doing like calligraphy stuff, which I feel like that's kind of what they're used for most of the time and what they're meant to be used for. But as you know, I am an illustrator, and I kind of suck at calligraphy, so I feel like I wouldn't do the markers any justice if I used it for that. So yeah, I just wanted to try an actual illustration. And so just keep in mind that using like big areas of like this ink is not exactly what it was intended for, but I don't know, I just wanted to try it and I did. So here it is. So I ended up choosing a handful of colors. I, was inspired by my sudden love of like 80s and 90s aesthetics. So I chose like some really bright, like I think I chose like neon pink, neon blue, yellow, and purple for my main colors. I did choose 2 different purples and 2 different pinks just to have more of a variety, but I do like the color palette that I chose. I was inspired by Muse, of course, like their newer album, and while I was actually when I was coloring this, I was watching Rock and Roll. I think, was that in the 70s or 80s? I can't remember when that movie came out, but just the aesthetics of that movie did inspire this as well. Kind of kept me in that mood to go with this theme. Overall, I do like how this turned out. I know you can't see how it turned out just yet, but that's probably in the thumbnail. So one thing to keep in mind when using these markers is they do take a little while to dry. I think they take a little longer to dry than the acrylic markers I used, but I did notice actually, so the chalkboard that I used, I feel like the markers took a little longer to dry on my chalkboard. I did try these markers on a chalkboard at work, and it wasn't a real chalkboard. It was one of those, we painted a whole wall with chalkboard paint, and so I noticed that the chalk dried a bit faster there. I don't know if the chalkboard material plays a part in that, but I'm gonna assume it does, just because it's kind of weird that it did take a bit longer on my chalkboard. But yeah, so yeah, it did take a while. So I do recommend, if you are using chalkboard markers, that you start like obviously if you're drawing, you're gonna draw or right from left to right, but when you're drawing and coloring as well, you want to work on the right side first and then the left, unless you are left-handed, then you're gonna want to do it the opposite way, just because you don't want to like what's the word? I was gonna say scrub, but that's not the word. You don't want to smudge. That's the word. You don't want to smudge the wet paint. So I did actually have to relearn that lesson a few times when coloring this. I kind of forgot, and so I would lay my hand down and then it would pick up the color on my hand a couple times. That's just on me. I did notice some colors took longer to dry. So like the purple that I use did take a bit longer, especially the darker purple. And when it did dry a little glossier than the other colors. Not really sure what that's about. It's not like a issue or anything. It's just something I noticed. I will say, because I didn't really have any issues with the markers. I like them overall, but there were about 2 colors, I think, that I had a bit of a problem with. I can't remember. I think it was like the really light mint one and the really, really light pink color. It was more prevalent in the light pink color. So like no matter how many times I would shake the marker and stuff, the like paint wasn't really coming out. It was just like the oils or whatever is, you know, in that marker. So whatever was coming out was like transparent. It was just kind of greasy looking. And I think it happened with a mint as well, but not as much. It was mostly just that pink color, which is not a big deal because I'm not going to use that color anyways. But yeah, just like it does kind of suck that I do have a marker like that. Whereas the acrylic markers that I had, none of them gave me any issue, but it's like whatever. Oh, and like I said, how, you know, the markers aren't really used too often with like larger areas like an illustration like this. I did have to layer some of the colors, mostly the lighter colors. The purple I did not have to go over at all. It was very pigmented. And when it dried, it didn't dry, like I think the pink color gave me, like the bright pink color gave me a little bit of an issue when it would dry. Some of the areas were like the pigment kind of left that area. I don't know, like it pooled. So there's some areas that were a little more transparent than others. So I did have to go over the bright pink and the white. But again, like I don't know if it's my chalkboard, just because I did use white on the chalkboard at work and it didn't give me that issue at all. So I don't know, maybe it's just my chalkboard, or maybe it's because I'm using it on like really large areas, so that could be that. But I just want to go over, before I forget, I want to go over what comes in the package. So I got the 42 liquid chalk marker package. So it comes with a ton of colors, like a ton of really bright colors, some more like desaturated colors, but obviously the bright colors grabbed my eye, and that's why I had to go with this illustration. But it also comes with replaceable nibs. It comes with a little tweezer thing, so you can like pull out the nibs so you can replace the tips of the markers. And just like the acrylic marker set, these markers come, the replaceable tips comes with round edge, and it comes with a chiseled edge. I didn't use a chisel tip just because I don't really need to, but I think if I do use these markers for calligraphy, I will be using that tip more often. But yeah, I just use the round tips for, you know, coloring. And it also comes with a pretty good amount of chalkboard stickers, and you write on it and you can label stuff, like stick it onto your desk or folders or whatever. And it also came with stencils as well for like letters and numbers, which I thought was really cool of them to do. I didn't use any of the stickers just yet because I don't know where to put them. I'm thinking of putting some on my drawer to label my art supplies. But yeah, I just thought that was really cool to include. And as you can see, this is the finished product. I did take a few pictures before erasing it. I did, as you can see, add the erasing process just because, I don't know, just something about working so hard on a picture and then just immediately getting rid of it. Like, I don't ever do that. So I wanted to record it. I don't know. I don't know. It's just something about it. So, like I said, if you like rub your hand all over dried chalk markers, is not gonna go away, which is really nice. It doesn't like smudge or anything like that. So if you use a dry marker or a dry eraser, it's not really gonna work too well. You do have to wet the board. I ended up using a magic eraser sponge thing. I think it was expired though, so it didn't work too well. So I did have to use a couple of paper towels, especially with all of the ink I used. It did take a while. I do like how the chalkboard looked though, with all the purple smushed everywhere. I like that a lot. But yeah, so anyways, I should be ending the video right now. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Arteza for sending me these markers to review. If you guys are interested in these markers as well, go ahead and go into the description down below. I will have an affiliate link to those markers. Also, just check out their website overall. Arteza is a really affordable art brand. As far, like, I've liked everything that I've reviewed from them so far. And these are honest reviews, by the way. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I say that for every review, but seriously, like, yeah, I haven't had any major issues with their brand so far. So far so good. And make sure to go ahead and visit Arteza's YouTube channel. They have videos, you know, tutorials on using their products, and also a lot of like cool DIY crafting videos that you guys should check out. Again, all of these links will be down in the description down below. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Please be good outlets, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!